Eamonn, coming into the county final here, it's Borris and Kiladangan. Neither player on either side has won it. Borris haven't won in 33 years. Kiladangan have never won a senior county title. And you know, you often hear from Borris-Ileigh about the great history, but like Kiladangan, even though they don't have the titles there, every club is proud of its history.
Yeah, I suppose we're proud of our history. Probably the last decade or so have been very good to us. We wouldn't have the same pedigree as Borris-Ileigh in terms of an Ireland club senior title. We have it in the intermediate, but you know, we're quite proud of the lads, and I think the club are quite progressive below. There's a very good committee. We have a new field. We have a, similar to yourselves, we have a new hall, kind of a complex there built as well. And the underage is going well, so listen, we're looking forward. We're looking.
And like when you go back to your time playing with the club, so that would have been throughout the late 80s and throughout the 90s.
Yeah.
What were you kind of fed on through those years?
That was a difficult time, and I often say to my own two lads at home, like, they don't know how fortunate they are. Like, we went back, we were hurling intermediate, and we won no game in 3 years. Right. We went back and said it'd be handy enough to win a junior. We won no game junior, right? And we actually, that time we were allowed to come back up yourselves. You know, it was just between one thing and another. We played in a North final against Burgess in 1991 or 92, and about 7 or 8 of that team either emigrated or transferred. You know, we were left with very, very little. We were lucky enough then that a very good minor team came through and they won a minor county title in 98, and they were the nucleus of the lads that went on to make the breakthrough with intermediate.
And was it a population thing? Was that the reason that Kiladangan were down in the doldrums, or was the talent there but it just wasn't being brought together, or what was it?
Very difficult to say looking back. So we wouldn't have the same pick as we have at the minute. Like you have now, like, let's see, down in the field last weekend, you have an excess of 40 players in the field. Like
adult level.
Yeah, like so the intermediates in the final on Saturday. So like it's a different time. We didn't have that kind of a pick, you know. And if you were down 1 or 2, you were, you know. My first game was in 1984 as a 16-year-old, where they only had 14, and I remember Noel Seymour coming out to me father to know could I go in to make up the team. Like it's a different time now, you know, where we have a better pick. You know?
And like if we jump back to the late 1990s, going into 2000, you took over the intermediates in February 2000 when things were at a fairly low ebb.
Yeah, we won the minor in 98, and a lot of them lads were coming through, and we took them over that time. And
was that minor A or B?
We won a minor B county final against Mike Harkey, and 2000 then we got to a North final and a North semi-final actually against Tipperary, and they beat us.
In intermediate.
Yeah, but we had won a couple of games. We hadn't won a game in 3 years, you know, and you could see that there was you know, there were green shoots coming. There was a bit of potential in 2001. To be fair to the lads, they put in a huge effort. We beat Kiladangan in a North final, and it was a huge thing for us. We hadn't won anything in a good few years. 2002 then we beat Newport in the North final, and they turned around and beat us in the county final afterwards, and that really knocked the steam out of us. And I suppose with 2003 didn't go that well, and I was back over again 2004, and that what you had that time was a very mature crop of lads. You know, that these fellas are unique. You know,
who are we talking about?
Actually, even like Brian Lawler. I shouldn't be saying it publicly because we knew to be slagging each other, but like Brian Lawler, Dan Hackett, Jerry Slattery, Mike Ryan, Eamonn Kelly, you could go through every one of them. These guys were ahead of their time, you know, and like the issue we had with them was trying to stop them training the nights that we wouldn't be training, because they were so dedicated, you know. And we won an All-Ireland intermediate title with them going on into say 2005 after winning the county title. Went through to the following year, and we were, I'd say, if there were Paddy Power were doing odds on it, we would have been rank outsiders. But it was sheer heart, commitment, dedication, and there were good hurlers that got us across the line.
Because like just even the context of the start of the 2004 season versus now 2019 going into the weekend of the county final. Back then your main team was an intermediate team. Now you've got the senior team in the county final, and you've got your intermediate, your second team in the intermediate county final on Saturday. Like, that is a massive change in such a short period of time.
It is, and there's probably some of the lads going to be playing in both. For Darry Egan, Dara would be played back then.
Yeah, he's going.
Hughie Flannery, I think Hughie is captain of the intermediate team at home, and like they have been up and down, which I think is fantastic for the club, that the experience that they have had coming through winning things like Tommy Connors is back there as well. You know, they went on and they won their All-Ireland Intermediate and they won a couple of North Senior titles, and for them to come back with the younger lads coming through is invaluable. You know.
And so talk to us about that 2004-5 season, whereby you won the North, you won the county. The All-Ireland final was against Carrickshock, a serious team at the time. You know, you can, the names roll off your tongue that played for Kilkenny, like John Tennyson, John Dalton, Michael Rice, and a little known player called Richie Power as well. Like, it's incredible that team beat that Kilkenny outfit.
Yeah, and again that day, like with 5 minutes to go, we were down 5 points, and Dan Hackett got a horrific injury. You know, he was going off on a stretcher, and like, to be fair to the lads, the finish they put in that day to win it by a goal was incredible. Like, you know,
scored 2-1 of a shot, did you?
Yeah. Just you know, like, it was one of those days. But it wasn't a one-off. We had a couple of them that year. You know, same thing against St Thomas's in the All-Ireland semi-final. You know, we were inside in Limerick against, I remember, Drummond at Lacka. We were horrendous, but they came out in the second half and just blew them away. We came from the death a few times. You know.
And what was it about those players that allowed you to do that?
Just pure character, you know. And it's great to see them back in, you know. Like, Dermot Hogan is manager of the intermediate team. Like, he was the goalie for that team, you know. So, like James Flannery, you have 2 James Flannerys. You have James in Johnstown as the selector with the intermediate team, and James in Ballycombe, and he's selected with the senior team. Like, they all played in them teams. I didn't bring them anything special. Like, they were just genuine fellas that were born winners, but they were hugely dedicated. And
when you were standing on the line watching this last 5-10 minutes of the Carrickshock game, what does that feel like?
That wasn't great. That wasn't great.
But when you're seeing them turning around, like, what was that?
Actually, listen, for me, I've got way more satisfaction out of watching and being on the line with teams than I ever did out of playing.
Really? Normally people say that anything after it is a bad substitute for playing.
Yeah, a lot of people do, but I would be the opposite to that now. You know, I was lucky enough from a club point of view. We struggled, but I was when if you all Ireland intermediate under 21 or intermediate medals we won 2 and under 21 Ireland, but there would nothing substitute what we won as being involved on the line with Kiladangan.
And the final whistle then in 2005.
It was incredible. It was a day you never forget, and you know, and I hope we could surpass it next Sunday. You know,
because and actually it's been shown in recent years that it's not beyond the realms of possibility. You know, Clara won the intermediate All-Ireland, went on to win the Kilkenny senior title a year after, so it's not as if this would be breaking new ground here. It's very doable. It
is, but these are a new crop. You know, we're quite a young team there at the minute, so it would be fantastic. You know, but we would be. They know the task that's ahead of them. You know, Borris-Ileigh have the tradition. They've been there. They've done that. You know, we haven't. You know, your first one is always very difficult.
And I see there was an article, an interview you'd done a couple of years ago, and within the article it said that maybe $500,000 had gone into the facilities in around Kiladangan in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Like, was the place just totally revamped, like new pitches, indoor facilities, gym, all that?
Yeah, and it's still ongoing. We had like back in the 90s, we did the club decided to do a new field, which we did. It was a case at that time who played with the hill. You know, it was going the opposite way. It was going the same way as the road. Now they had to find a new field, and then Liam Flannery came in as chairman there in the early, I say around 2002, 2003. We were the first club in the world, and Borris-Ileigh have done since to put in floodlights. You know, and that was the year we won the intermediate title and the All Ireland. So, and then, you know, we built a second field there then, because there was a big draw with one field with the number of underage teams coming and players and camogie, because everybody's all one club now with us. We've got a second field, and now we have a fantastic development going on below that hopefully we'll get the use of next year.
And so then coming into the last couple of years, actually another part of it is, of course, there's probably a population explosion. Well, maybe not explosion, but has it kind of increased to, like, even Nina would be a big enough town around you to eat? Like, has the population grown in the area?
It's difficult to see where it is. There's no big estates gone up or anything like that, but the schools are busy, you know. Like, sure, Dara is a walking principal, you know what I mean? So you have, you know, that suits him fine, you know, and like that man, what he has done for, like, on the field, he's been an absolute revelation for us. But he gave a few years in Carrick teaching there before he became principal in Pecan, and it's no coincidence anywhere he's gone there's been success, and that could be mapped across with the tip seniors as well, you know. And so he's really preaching the gospel, and it's good that there's numbers in the schools to give him the time to do that.
Well, why is there coaching within the schools that there wasn't there before?
Oh yeah, like for the time I was hurling there, you weren't allowed to bring a hurling to school. I see it now. Dara would have himself and maybe Paddy Gallagher out coaching at lunchtime, you know, and I think that's where you have to feed from, you know.
And if we go into like the last couple of seasons where Kiladangan have, well, I think it's 5 North titles in the last 10 years, and of course got to the county final in 2016. Turtle Sarsfield's 27 points, Kiladangan 115. What do you think didn't happen that day, or was it just down to the fact that SARS were so strong?
Probably SARS are a fine side and they deserved their victory, but we didn't hold to our potential, you know. And probably a lot could be said. We haven't done it for a full hour this year either, you know, and we haven't done it the last day. We just did enough to beat Nina, you know.
The only team unbeaten in the championship in Tip, though.
Yeah, it's great, and you know, and I hope that stays going. You know, there's nothing make me happier than to see us go up to pick up that cup next weekend. And Joe Gallagher, you know, like Joe was sick earlier on in the year, and it put everything in context. We didn't know how bad or how would he hurl again, and if he got the opportunity to go up and collect that cup next week to make it all worthwhile.
And how bad was he that time?
Something of a regular heartbeat that needed to be checked out, you know. For typical Joe, he missed no night in the field. He was either there when he couldn't train, but for a second he could train, he came back again, and he got the goal that kept us in it. We could have been out of the game by half time the last day, but he got a goal to bring us back into it, you know.
And then of course beating Borris-Ileigh, who were in the 2017 county final, beaten 127 to 11 points against SARS. A real non-performance that day. Both teams are coming into this with their players not necessarily knowing how to win a county final.
Yes, I suppose I would think that we beat Borris-Ileigh in the North final.
213 to 118.
Yeah, might be a good thing either, you know. The way things changed, very difficult. That day you had like who I would consider one of the best hurlers Tipperary I've ever had. Brendan didn't have his best day. You know, our lads hurled quite well, and they kept the good Borris-Ileigh players at bay. Very difficult to do the second time, you know. You know, and that's of all the clubs we played, there'd be no animosity at all. Like our lads, every time they pass back through Borris-Ileigh, they want to stop off there and to see Joe Luckname, because Andy and Jack are nearly Borris-Ileigh considered nearly half Borris-Ileigh men at this stage. But so it is what it is. To me, it's an absolute flip of a coin. Both teams are capable of winning on the day. Whoever can perform is the team that's going to have something to build on. If you perform and lose, it's easy to come back out. To go out and perform, or not perform and lose is a disaster. Now, we haven't performed and won a few days. No, I think I'd just be very satisfied if they go out and give their best performance of the year.
There's a lot of players there that have potential to play for Tipperary. I mean, Darragh Egan was the one flying the flag for a long time, but Billy Seymour scoring goals for fun for Tipperary under 20s. Willie Connors played a lot for the team this year as well, like Ty Gallagher, and probably Joe played underage too. Alan Flynn, of course, at centre back. Paul Flynn has probably flirted with it at times. So there's a lot of county level quality there, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Definitely, there's no doubt about it. This is the best team that Kiladangan has ever had. I could say that, hand on heart, from a hurling ability point of view, right? The team that won the All-Ireland in 2004 and 5 didn't have the same ability, but what they did every day, they went out to give it, you know. And I just think if these fellas do that, sky is the limit where they can go. You know, probably another name I didn't mention there was James Quigley. To me, has been our hurler of the year so far, you know. And we have quality all over the field, quality on the bench, but we need to get the performance right.
And what about the manager then, Sean Tracy? Well, it's an interesting subplot that the two managers, Johnny Kelly and Sean Tracy, who's over Kiladangan, they're both Portumna men, and probably, you know, they've seen their club, their native club, win All Irelands. But Sean Tracy, can you tell me about him? Yeah,
Sean is an excellent trainer. I've been watching him for the last few years there, and first of all, he takes no messing from anybody. When Sean talks, they listen. His training is top class, but he's a fantastic team with him. Like Brian Lawler, Brian is the manager and Sean does the coaching. You have Martin Nolan, Spike's son, like immense in hurling there, and James Flannery, and they have a huge backroom team with them. But Sean, to me, is absolutely second to none. And again, I could say the same for Johnny Kelly, because I actually asked Johnny to come into Kiladangan a few years ago, and I had the misfortune of mentioning to Dickie Maher how good he was, and he wasn't gone, I'd say, a couple of hours for us when Dickie had him down, he was down in Borris-Ileigh, so right. there could be something in it, I don't know, maybe it's coincidence, but listen, both them fellas have won All-Ireland club medals with Portumna, so they know they're winners, you know, and I hope just that Sean tips the scales in our way this weekend.
Sean has an interesting sort of past in the sense that he came into the team for Tony Keady when Tony Keady was banned in 1989 for playing away. He ended up getting an All-Star, I think, just based on his performance against Tip that day. 6 years ago, just on the basis of getting a type B flu, he ended up in an induced coma, all the major organs failing, and his family were more or less, kind of prepared for the worst as well. That's an incredible story.
Yeah, unbelievable. To see him back in the field again is fantastic, And he just carries such a presence. He's a prison officer by trade, and I think he trains the same way. When he talks, the boys listen.
Yeah, and like where do you think this game is going to be won and lost?
Listen, whoever performs, as simple as that. Both teams have quality all over the place. Like Borris-Ileigh have it there. Like Paddy's was outstanding, I thought, the last day against Kiladangan, and Brendan and wing out in the half back line, the Kennys up the field, Dan McCormack, all the McCormacks, you could name out the three of them,
The four of them.
The four, it's just sorry, actually. Yeah. And even the JD Devaney and Kieran Maher, there's a huge blend there, and you'd have to think that Thurles will suit both teams. You get a good game, great game of hurling, and Kiladangan winning by a point, and that'll do me.
Yeah, and like who do Kiladangan look to perform on days like this? Where is the key for Kiladangan?
I suppose that's quite difficult. Like Alan Flynn, Willie have been, and Davy Sweeney and Barry have been on the county squad. Yeah. And usually if the four of them hurl well, a rising tide lifts all boats. With guys that maybe whether we'd be starting with, Martin Minahan and Fergie Hayes, they've been around a bit longer than most of them, and like they're born leaders, So, Joe Gallagher is always the go-to man, and they're the fellas that have been around a while, and so I don't think there's any one individual who lifted. Whereas you could always say Borris-Ileigh, Brendan is their leader, or Paddy, But I think ours, I don't think there's a rest on anyone's shoulders.
So, if you were to pick it with your heart and with your head, is it the same thing either way? Same team you're going to go for?
I'd have to, yeah. I'll die happy if you win this one.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much.